Hi. Okay, so back for part 2. Time to talk about Gabe. Because Gabe is going to sit down for a very open conversation with his mom. And every time I see him, he both breaks my heart and makes me realize he's the most adult person in the room generally. He clearly thinks about things and makes sure that he knows what expectations are and what the outcomes could be. He doesn't just go off in some wild fashion and write off family members. He's wonderful. So I'm excited to sit down and talk about this with you guys. Hi, if you're new here, my name's Cozy. I like to talk about sister wives and related reality television shows here on YouTube. I do like to remind you these videos are for entertainment purposes only. These are not facts. These are just my opinions about public figures sharing their lives on television. So let's hop into it. When he comes in, Janelle is clearly, I think she's putting away dishes. And she says to Gabe, "You hungry?" He's like, "Do you want help?" "No, I'll make my own breakfast." It was wonderful. Janelle mentions that he's been speaking with a counselor at the university, and she thinks that that's wonderful, and I do too. I think that's great for him. It's a hard thing to process, compounded by the fact that polygamy is outside of the norm, meaning that having somebody that you can go to and be very open with is important. So they're talking about making eggs and preferring a hard yolk or a soft yolk. I like a good over easy egg myself, but apparently I would not be good at making eggs for Kody, as he does not like them flipped over and wants them done with the lid on. So like half steamed, half fried. I've never cooked an egg like that, so I don't know how that would turn out. But Gabe makes fun of the lemon and hot water at restaurants, which I definitely giggled at. Janelle reminds us that it's been since COVID that Kody has not really had contact with her children. And they show us this conversation between Janelle and the kids at home outside on the porch in that like weird grayscale, sepia toned flashback look that they do. And Gabe's like, "This is a form of midlife crisis. Not that COVID's not real, it's just not serious enough for Dad to ignore them for 6 months." And I'm reminded of the "someone could have had a baby in the time that we haven't seen him" comment from like season 16 or 17. I think it was 16. Janelle points out that after it was over and things went back to normal, they still couldn't reconcile because of the apology issue that morphed into a conversation thanks to Robyn's input. She also notes that he continues with the "my kids have not been loyal to me and the most precious person in this family, who's given her heart and soul and been disrespected." She's not entirely off in that assessment, in my opinion, but her response is, "Whatever, Kody," because frankly, that's the only response you can give. I don't think that any response you would give would be the correct answer for Kody. Even if it's what he wants to hear, somehow it would still be wrong. Gabe mentions his dad hit him up and said, "Hey, I miss you," which is weird. He felt that Kody kept phrasing it like Gabe owed him an apology, and Gabe eventually said, "Unless you're ready to have an actual relationship and fix things, we're not going to talk anymore." Basically saying, if you would take some accountability for your part in this, we could talk. Sounds like what McKelty was saying on her Patreon. It took a couple days, but Kody finally texted back and said, "Hey, I've been thinking about what you're saying. I forgive you. Please forgive me." And Gabe's like, "Forgive me for what? What is going on here?" Now, I know, because we have all these individual moments from the show, exactly what Kody's forgiving him for. And I wonder if this was the text that Kody said he sent while skiing. And I've seen the whole, no, that was more recent kind of thing, but then that still could be the text, because if he's talking about the past, you know what I'm saying? Y'all follow me. Janelle points out that she thinks that they should get a counselor and asks Gabe, "What do you think about that idea?" And he says, "I don't know." But he told Kody, "If you can't change and take some accountability, I will not see you again." Boundaries. And Gabe's okay with that choice. As sad as it is, that's probably in his best interest, if I'm being honest. Janelle said that in the beginning, Gabe took it extra hard. Kody used to take him on business trips. They had this really great relationship. And she remembers Kody as an amazing father and felt like it continued through high school. I don't know, they did move Gabe to Flagstaff in the middle of high school, and that kind of wasn't a great time for them. So I don't know. But then suddenly it turned into, "You aren't obedient, you aren't loyal, you're disrespectful, I'm done with you." And she says she has no idea what it would take because everyone's so busy and spread out across the country. But Gabe's like, "Hey, what it would take is Kody setting things right." It would take an act of God, Gabe says, and he doesn't think that's coming. Janelle says that at this point, last she knew, Kody wanted to be a patriarch, and that he wanted the kids essentially to conform to he and Robyn's worldview, and she perceives it that way. Her kids perceive it that way, but they don't really want any part of that. They don't want to see the world through their eyes. And of course, Kody gets bent out of shape about the word patriarchy, as always, and says Janelle is dead wrong, because that's never how he's been. He just got angry and said it once while Christine was leaving. But the thing he missed was the perception that this is what he wants. It's because he behaves as though this is what he wants. And he's so aggressive about it that what he's not hearing is this is how we perceive it as opposed to this is how things are. Janelle tells Gabe that Kody is stuck in this idea that he was just doing what was best for the family, and Gabe is not buying it. He admits that it's not a popular opinion in the family, but Gabe thinks Kody was doing what was right for the family members Kody chose to be with, not for the family as a whole. Janelle does agree with him and say, listen, a lot of the kids feel like there was some, and Gabe hops in, favoritism. But Janelle keeps going and says, considering one person's perspective over the others. I like Gabe's word better, more succinct, described exactly what Janelle was saying. Kody argues that he loves his wives and children, except that he never loved 3 of them, if you'll remember. And he wanted to keep them safe. Okay. When he actually got COVID, he became hostile. He was hostile before that. And it was a bias from his experience because he saw the Grim Reaper. I am still not sure if I personally believe that he was that sick. I was not there. From what they showed on the show, I couldn't say. Gabe says that Kody can say what he wants, but if it's brown and it stinks, it's probably poop. Janelle says that her kids have begun expressing that COVID presented this opportunity for their dad to do what he wanted to do for a long time anyway. And she refuses to mince words when she says, and that's live and build a life with his favorite wife. Allegedly, Kody had been expressing things to the kids that he wished he would have just waited and only married Robyn. And how hurtful is that? Hey, I wish I would have waited and you wouldn't even exist for me to say this thing to you. Like, that's awful. Kody says that he never once told his children that. Okay. He says it's a misunderstanding that became a gossip in the family. A misunderstanding of what? What did you say that would be interpreted in that fashion? Because it's an oddly specific misunderstanding to have. And he's like, it's like a game of telephone. And then explains a game of telephone. But once again, what did you say for it to be distorted in such a fashion? Seriously, Janelle says she doesn't know what dad would say that to their kids. Me either. But at least her kids have a lot of stories like that. So this has made them think that this was just an opportunity for him to just maneuver into that position. Janelle mentions that Kody does see Savannah every couple months, but none of the kids have much of a connection with him. Janelle's like, Savannah gets it. Kody's this absent dad who just shows up and they can have fun and then he's gone again. And she can meet him right where he's at. But Janelle points out that the older boys take a lot of responsibilities for Savannah, and she says that that's who's going to walk her down the aisle when she gets married. And we discussed that a little bit last time, and I think it's great if that's what she wants to do. Her brothers clearly love her, and she them. Janelle is actually smiling huge at this idea, and I think she's just excited that the kids are as close as they are. Janelle asks Gabe about Kody's assertion that Robyn has sacrificed everything for the family, and Gabe's like, Robyn has a victim complex. Just to put it bluntly. And I don't think I can personally argue with him. I mean, he had to live with her more than I did. But I also think that Kody might have a little bit of a hero complex and can't be happy without someone to save. So they work together and they fit together very well in that idea. Gabe continues that he doesn't necessarily blame her for that because people devise a lot of strategies to cope. Janelle feels badly for the kids. And Gabe's like, I miss them all, but I don't blame them for falling along party lines. It sounds like he's really trying to put in the work to understand and overcome his part of his anger. Janelle does say her kids have a lot of anger towards Robyn, and they feel like they're always waiting for her to twist the things they say and do, and Janelle's super upfront and says they are leery of Robyn. I don't know if I can blame them. Gabe tells her that if Robyn actually believes that we're mistreating her or her children in any way, when she was the constant favorite of Kody and they were constantly working on these relationships between kids, if she really believes that, there is no chance he will ever have a relationship with her again. Kody jumps in to defend his wife. Shocker. But he says that Robyn has always supported his relationships, and the last 2 conversations that she had with Janelle, Robyn was begging to have a relationship. And Kody calls Janelle a relationship coward. Personally, I think that Janelle and Robyn have very little in common, and there's not much of a basis for a deep relationship outside of the greater family. So I can understand where Janelle would be like, hey, we really don't have anything. I don't know what you want from me. Gabe admits that he doesn't have much respect for Robyn. And that makes it hard to rationalize her actions. But he actively tries to rationalize them, saying that maybe that's why she's saying, oh, you always hated us, because she's lost the respect that the kids once had. And he says it's because she does crap like this. Janelle agrees it's a mess. But on the couch, she explains she doesn't know what really happened there, but the kids feel as though there was a lot of triangulation, a lot of ego stroking, manipulation. Gabe says that at this point, the thing he wants most is just his relationship back with his siblings. Aurora was his favorite person to hang out with in middle school. And in high school, he'd always try to hit up Dayton to hang out. He's not hopeful for a relationship with Kody and Robyn, but it sounds like he is hopeful for a relationship with his siblings. Janelle says Gabe's at peace with the fact that his dad's not in his life. And that's what she hopes for all of her kids, and she thinks they're getting there. Imagine being hopeful for peace with a situation like this. It's heartbreaking. Gabe says he doesn't know what Kody's beef is. He assumes it's because he sat Kody down for a conversation and Gabe stayed calm and collected and told him, you are hurting this family, no one else. And Kody told him, you're not loyal, just like your mother. I believe Gabe, he said, your mother is the Teflon queen, which by extension makes you the Teflon prince, I guess, and him the Teflon king. Janelle says it's okay. He can say what he wants to say. She's clearly not engaging in his silliness any longer. And Kody says that conversation never happened. Never? Season 16, Episode 9, The Teflon Queen. And in case Kody's forgotten, the episode description reads as follows. Kody faces off with his sons Gabe and Garrison, and they trade blame over the COVID restrictions. Then Janelle suffers a huge loss as Christmas is approaching. The family hopes they will all test negative and finally be together. The same year that this is purported to have been filmed. So you saw this, what, 10 months previous, and yet it never happened? Gotcha. Just so we're aware, this episode that I just read aired on January, I believe, 16th of 2022. That's why I say it's the same year. You saw it. I don't even care if this is not the same conversation Gabe's referring to. It's close enough that the world saw this happen. I genuinely do not care about the whining about COVID causing problems for a lot of people. Rephrase. I care that COVID caused problems for a lot of people. I do not care for this excuse. And sure, the relationships that had the fortitude to withstand it sure did. But when the foundation of the relationship is crumbling, it's really hard to keep it going. Janelle points out that this you're not loyal thing should be a two-way street, and she reminds us that once upon a time, Kody used words like love and charity instead of loyalty and respect, and somewhere it just flipped. Gabe checks in with her and was like, but how are you doing, Mom? And she says, I'm fine. I'm happy. And she explains that she stuck it out as long as she did because the kids were still living at home, and when Kody stopped being a really great father, she took her cue and moved on. I'm sure her saying this will become a thing that Kody fixates on when he yells at Suki at the end of the season. Just a prediction. We can come back to here if I'm right. But usually if they do a tell-all, they would be filming it right around now. And I've heard no scuttlebutt that anybody's been seen doing it. So I couldn't tell you. Who knows? Janelle on the couch admits she is frustrated with Kody. She's seen it happen before where women have gotten divorced and the dad just goes MIA. Kody gives us a non-apology. I'm really sorry Gabriel feels this way. There is a way to say something like that and it be meaningful. I feel sad because I got a bad grade. I'm sorry you feel sad. How can I help? But not, I'm sorry he feels this way and I don't care because he's wrong. Because the excuse is Kody has reached out multiple times only to get rejected. He's like, it's not for a lack of trying. Janelle praises Gabe for seeking out counseling. And he says he thinks a lot of them need it. And Janelle's like, yeah, no, all of us need it. Gabe points out there's no way to not need therapy when your family is falling to bits. And Janelle knows that for everyone's long-term mental health, there needs to be a resolution. So if she wants her kids to reach this place of peace, but not reconciliation, because she doesn't even know if reconciliation's possible. And I understand what she's saying. For their own mental well-being, the ability to let go, find peace, strength, happiness, might be so much better than trying to find a way to fit people into their lives that don't want to be there in the first place. The close-up to the episode, of course, is the poor me's from Kody and Robyn. Robyn is hiding in the bathroom on Christmas Eve, just sitting on the floor, casually filming herself crying so she can tell us all that this is the first Christmas since she married Kody that it will be just her kids, and Kody. I beg to differ. In season 18, it was just you guys plus Mary on Christmas Eve. But Truly and McKelty came later. Kody didn't see Savannah until January. For all intents and purposes, this is the second Christmas. And she tells us she can't help but sit there and be heartbroken looking back on everything that's happened. And she regales us with this tale of wanting to live polygamy as a young girl. She went through this process of deciding if she wanted to live that way. Because when you're young, you do what your parents tell you to do. You grow up a certain way. This is how you think you're going to live. So when she got older, she got her testimony of plural marriage and got into a monogamous marriage. Okay, she didn't say that, but I do remember that she called it a plural marriage with one wife or some sort of nonsense back in the day. She says that she saw Kody's family and was so excited to be a part of it. She liked that they were one family. Couch Robyn repeats the exact same thing, but adds that she's in a place where everyone is taking away all these choices for her. She's struggling with her identity, and what does it mean? She no longer sees her future. Her hopes, dreams, it's all disappearing before her eyes. I'm sorry that someone is taking the choices away from you, Robyn, but that's how the world works. Kody comes and says something that absolutely personally offends me when he says that Robyn has a spine of concrete and steel. No. Would you like to know who has a steel spine? Your daughter. But he says she's holding on to this dream that he sold her on of his family for a lot longer. And now he keeps trying to convince her to move on, asking her, let's move on. Another subtle moment of Robyn blaming, in my opinion. It's almost like I moved on and she's holding me here. I could get past it if she would let me. That's how it comes across to my ear. He says that they need to tell themselves, and believe it, as he does now, that it was never meant to be. Yes, they had children together, they gave life to the children, and it can be a great life, just not with parents who are together. Floor Robyn is upset that Mary declined to come for Christmas because she got released and doesn't need to. Mary is like, overall, looking at the entire history of the family, this is sad. When you look back and realize your husband didn't love you or many of the wives in his family, she guffaws at this, as she should, it is sad. But why did it take so long? Why did this even start if it wasn't something he actually was interested in? Floor Robyn says that she loves her kids and she needs to give them a special sweet holiday. And I have to say, I really hate the way that she and Kody constantly use the word sweet all of the time. It drives me batty. It's just a thing. I don't know. Couch Robyn is continuing the tears when she says she just doesn't get to have the perfect Christmas because her family isn't here. No one owes you their Christmas. Christine shares that the Christmases they used to have were pretty fun, and Janelle remembers the traditions that they had, and it feels like now it's time to do something different. Christine says it's time for new traditions, things that have nothing to do with how things used to be, and everything to do with how you want them to be. Kody says that his prayer is just to save him and Robyn, and that's nice. That's great. Really, following that whole, like, prayers for your enemies thing, super, super extra well. I get it, we're all hypocrites, it's fine. He waxes poetic about how wonderful his relationship is with her and how breakups have caused so much trouble in their marriage. He says that it's been a real struggle and he hopes and prays that they manage it. I am also getting tired of him constantly saying manage. They say that they save their marriage, they save them, that's what the most important thing is. He wants to save the special they started out with after all the horrible experiences of breakups. And Floor Robyn cries and says the only thing keeping her head above water is prayer. Couch Robyn defends her decision to film Floor Robyn, saying she just needed a moment to process. And that way she could put on a happy face and make it a beautiful Christmas because she owes it to her kids, who will then see this 2 years later and know that she was being Floor Robyn. She knows that Kody's going to struggle, and it's just not what she expected her life to be, and she doesn't know how to let it go. The preview shows that Mary figured out how to let it go when she says there's no way, shape, or form she would spend Christmas with them. So good for her, because I want to be more empathetic to Robyn. I don't like being that person who's so snarky and can't find redemption in a person, but the choice to juxtapose that scene next to Gabe bearing his heart was not one that made her look good. The poor me of it all was just too much for me. And I understand that that's an editor perspective, but gosh, if they're really trying to give them good edits this season, it ain't working. I'm gonna be honest, it ain't working. And it's one of those things, you have to believe that people are redeemable, and I'm really struggling right now. So, that is our part 2. There's no big end of video news this week. I've been trying to find some part-time work to help the family get through the expenses. A kid broke his arm, my now less broken head, I suppose. So if you're the praying type, pray we find something that works with our schedules and allows me to keep up with filming, because I love doing this. You guys are amazing, and I really look forward to our time together in the comments, because you give me great things to think about, and it's awesome. And frankly, y'all are a lot of fun. I feel like if we all knew each other in person, we probably would get along. That's the type of people we are over here. So, if you're a praying person, pray I find something to help us keep things going as we're getting through all of these medical bills and things. That would be fantastic. Other than that, I don't have much. I gotta go move some plants. Husband helped put in a new light fixture so that I could have more plant space down in the basement, because I'm trying to weather over my peppers. I read somewhere that if you weather over a pepper plant and take good care of it, it'll produce quality peppers for up to 3 years. So I'm going to try it with my peppers and tomatoes and see if we can keep getting quality. I keep looking over here because my first round of plants is in the closet. They're sleeping in the closet like Robyn. It's fine. I'm really excited because we've got some really, really good, strong pepper plants, and I would love, 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 love to keep them alive until next year. And frankly, keep them producing fruits and veggies so that we can eat them until next year too. They're delicious. Other than that, I don't have much else. I hope you guys have a fantastic day, a fantastic week, and I will see you right back here for the next one. Bye!